Redditors who were using the toilet when a fire alarm went off. How did it go? This happened to me at school, but we were going on lockdown for suspicious activity and I've never wiped faster in my life. That's when I'll just stay in the bathroom and pray it's a drill. Not on the toilet but mid-shower in a communal shower in college. I was in RA at the time and it was my job to open all of my residence door and make sure they were empty and then get out myself. I had like 10 rooms. I grabbed my towel and with shampoo in my hair bolted as quickly as could out of the shower. The look in the one guy's face I opened his door was priceless. I then proceeded to stand outside in my towel and sudsy hair while the fire department did their thing. Microwave caught fire. My residential director thought it was hilarious and commended me at our next meeting for doing my job under such circumstances. I was mortified, however. I actually have had this happen to me. Well, sort of. There was a fire, but no alarm went off. I was working a late supervising shift at my current job, and I had only been there for about 6 weeks at the time. It was about midnight, and I was in the staff bathroom dropping the kids off at the pool and enjoying some much needed silence when I heard our cook yell fire in the kitchen. Even from down the hall and through a door, I could hear the fear in this poor girl's voice. I thought to myself, welp, guess I'm done here. Cleaned myself up as fast as humanly possible and ran my butt as fast as it would move to the kitchen. Found the grill engulfed in flames that had begun to scorch the wall behind it. Ripped the fire extinguisher off the wall. Broke the housing that held it to the wall in the process and blew the entire contents onto the grill over the course of about a minute. It took a few repeated blasts to get the flames to finally stop coming back. Once it was out, we all breathed a sigh of relief for a second until we remembered that we had to clean all that crap up. Fast forward to 4 AM. And we are done and all cussing about the fact that all the bars are now closed because we all wanted a drink after that. I ended up taking all the individuals involved out for a beer about a week later. Bonus points to my butthole engineer at work who tried to write me up for using the extinguisher because they're expensive to refill. Frick off, dude. A burned down building is way more expensive. Eat my butt. I guess fire alarms are too expensive, too. I rolled the dice and figured it was a false alarm. I was right. Worked out better for me than the others. We were in swim class in the dead of winter with snow on the ground. Best dump I've ever taken. Once during a storm, while pooping, the lights had gone out on me. They took a bit before coming back on, but while waiting in the dark, I wondered how I was going to wipe. How will I know when it's all gone? Do I just use the whole roll? The indescribable weight of questions like this hitting me left me feeling far too helpless in the moment, and I wondered how the blind deal with this and other normal situations. I led a very simple life now, and I'm thankful for every advantage I have, no matter how insignificant. Poorly, as it was my fault the fire alarm went off in the first place. First week of freshman year of college in my dorm. I tried to drunkenly smoke a cigarette while taking a dump one night, but ended up passing out mid-smoke and somehow ignited the toilet paper roll enough that it smoldered and set off a smoke detector, which triggered the fire alarm for the whole building. It was not one of my finer moments. 1 minute I'm relaxing. The next my mom is yelling fire. So, no wiping, just pulled up my pants, ran out of the house. When the firefighters arrived I realized I hadn't flushed and the lid was up. So after they had to walk through the entire house to make sure everything was okay, I began to blush like crazy, realizing what a stinky surprise they'd find. But all in all, it wasn't so bad. So we had fire drills every term in my dorms. However, nobody was informed of the first one because they wanted to make sure we were on our toes. I was having a pretty bad time in the restroom. I forgot what I ate that day, but I made the toilet a miniature brown ocean. Whilst struggling, the alarm went off. My first thought was, crap, I have to go right now. But then I thought, I'll have to skip cleaning up and meet up with my helmets outside with a messy brown canyon in my pants. It was a pretty compelling thought. So I decided to take a capital L by staying and cleaning up, all while the alarms blared and flashed. I lived on the top floor, mind you. Ultimately, if I died, I wanted everybody I knew to know that I died with a pristine crack. The noblest of deaths. Not a fire alarm but an earthquake. It went well. I thought I was dizzy and then I saw the loofah in my shower swinging. I kept pooping. Probably thought to yourself, this is one heck of a crap to shake the room. When I was at primary school, my head teacher took me to one side and told me he was going to do a fire drill that day, and he wanted me to sit in one of the cubicles to see if any of the staff actually done their job to go and check. No one came. That was a smart move by the teacher. My shoots go pretty fast, so I just finished my business and walked out. They are usually false alarms anyways, and this one was no different. I was in 2nd grade. I was almost done anyway, so I just wiped off, put some TP in my undies so they wouldn't get, dirty, and then I threw my pants on, and went outside. After it was over, right back to the bathroom for me. Holy crap, that idea is genius. It happened to me when I was in nursery, age 3-4. I was too scared to use the toilet there for months and no one could figure out why I suddenly started wetting myself again. Pavlov's toddler. The maintenance dude didn't check that nobody was in there and locked me in. Since bathroom doors get locked in elementary school fire drills, they found me crying 10 minutes later. Poor kindergarten me. In college, the fire alarm went off in my dorm at 6ish am. Less than half the building actually left, and a bunch of people took the elevator. Everyone thought it was a fire drill, so they either kept trying to sleep, kept showering, or kept pooping. Turns out it was a fire drill, and the fire marshal that triggered it was Super P. The school got in trouble because they were responsible for our safety, and started doing fire drills regularly. That made people even less inclined to get up for it. But there was no real punishment they could dole out. Eventually, one kid lit his room on fire with a mini torch when heating his dab, and only about 1/4 of the building evacuated. Once the fire trucks arrived, everyone started pouring out, but a few kids had to be treated for smoke inhalation. After that, everyone exited the building when the alarm went off, for about 6 months. When heating his dab. After that, everyone exited the building when the alarm went off. Let no one say that dabs never helped anyone. I was at my military school and was pinching off a gorilla finger when some dumb fuck microwaved cup noodles without any water in it. Then this idiot opened up the microwave with smoke in it and the flaming styrofoam cup alight. It was January in the mountains and we had to evacuate the building. I only had shorts and a wife beater on and about froze my nips off. That kid got his butt beat by so many people that night. Weeping uncontrollably, I was just trying to cook noodles. Was in the stall at work. The particular bathroom had an exit either end of the room, so I weighed the risk and likelihood of burning to death unclean, or the potential of being clean with at least one viable exit. I was almost finished and the site manager came into the restroom to make sure it was vacated. Got yelled at for not leaving. Advised him I wasn't going into a crowd of people with a dirty rear end. Finished up and washed my hands. Got outside to dirty looks, but that's better than dirty boxers. It ended up being a false alarm anyway due to someone on another floor pulling the alarm. I understood the urgency had been imminent danger, but the alternate embarrassment would have shamed me out of a job being known as a poo pants guy. 15 years later, I have briefly thought about the what if it happens again nearly every time I've had to crap at work since. The answer still ends up being finishing wiping and washing my hands. Poorly, I went to the next dorm, resumed pooping, and that fire alarm promptly went off. It was at that time I realized it was a drill and just kept pooping. About as well as expected. I was a junior in high school, really had to go, and it went off while I was in the awkward too early to abort, too late to pinch off phase. I figured someone pulled the alarm to get out of a test until I smelled smoke and my principal, who had a very deep voice, scream holy fricking moly. I pooped so fast I'm pretty sure I heard my butthole slam shut, stuck paper between my cheeks and ran out. Ended up sneaking behind the bleachers to finish wiping. Got out of my algebra test, at least. Happened to me in kindergarten. I'll never forget it. We were told what to do when you were in class, but never what to do when you're in the middle of peeing. Terrified, I just got my kindergarten self together and ran as fast as I could out of the bathroom, tried to find my class, refused to use the school bathroom for months. I only had this from the other side of things. I'm a volunteer firefighter, and it was around 11 AM on a Monday, so a time when lots of people are at work and our manpower is pretty bad. I had a day off and was at home, so available for calls. I had just started to take a nice, big, coffee and oats fuel dump when my pager goes off and I hear the dispatcher announce a working structure fire in a row house. So house next to house next to house, no space in between, with multiple people missing. Basically worst case call for the time of the day. Do you know those times when you wipe, and wipe, and wipe, and there is always some left? Yeah, it was like that. I furiously tried to finish wiping, because no freaking way am I going on a call with a crappy butt. Still, it took forever. Worst crap of my life. I enjoyed taking a calm, relaxing dump, goddammit. Funnily enough, the working structure fire with missing people turned out burnt food in the kitchen, and the missing people were the residents' cats. Minimal damages, no one hurt. Well, no one but my furiously power wiped butt. I realized I had 3 options. 1. I exit the dorm with poopy in my pants. 2. I burn to death in a fire. Or 3. Nothing happens and I finish my poop in peace. The last 2 options are what I'd consider winners, so I took my chances. This happened not too long ago. I'm a member of my organization's early response training team, so I knew that they were going to pull the lever. I just didn't know when. Anyway, Taco Bell left me feeling a bit nauseous, so I didn't really have a choice as to go or not. So I did. Maybe 5 minutes in when it rang. I still needed 10 more minutes. Eventually my debt started texting my phone about my whereabouts since I didn't mean them at the designated spot. One of the director is opening every door shouting anyone in here, and when he stopped at mine, I meekly said me. He waited a few more minutes, rushing me, and I finished and came out. It wasn't all that embarrassing. Just a funny story to share. Also, training does state that during a fire, you should get up and out as quickly as possible, but seeing as how I knew it was a fake fire alarm, I risked finishing up my business instead of wandering outside with everyone with my butt. I wasn't on the toilet, but was naked in bed on the 46th floor of the hotel. Strobes, sirens, people running outside, elevators shut down, and I couldn't find one of my shoes. I walked down 46 floors without shoes or socks and with a bunch of idiots that kept sitting down, blocking the stairs, saying they were just going to wait until they were told they needed to evacuate, despite loudspeakers telling them to get outside. Finally got outside. Most people stopped in the lobby bar. We were outside for about 2 hours before the fire trucks left, and we decided to go back inside. Walked up to the 11th floor and caught an elevator the rest of the way. Found out later that this happens often at that hotel. TripAdvisor had it happening at least once a month over the last few years. I guess they have issues with their system picking up moisture in the air near Niagara Falls and thinking it was smoke. We had fire alarms regularly in my old dorm. The RAs are required to check all the rooms before evacuating, which just meant they had to open the door, look inside, then close the door. I heard the alarm going off and thought, if I'm lucky, I'll die of smoke inhalation. Continued with my crap. Found out later some dude, super high, tried to microwave a cup of noodle without any water. I was in college. Every single stall had an individual alarm. I'm almost certain it damaged my hearing, and I had to sit there and pinch off, wipe as quickly as I could, and run outside, in my PJs, in winter in Minnesota. 3rd grade, they always said when it was a drill on the announcements. I was taking a crap in the bathroom and I heard it go off. Decided to just sit in there. People came running and looking for me and asked why I hadn't come out. "I haven't wiped yet," was my 8-year-old response. During my 4 years of college, the dorm would go off often. Been caught on the crapper, showering, sleeping, etc. After about 2-3 times of false alarms, I just stayed in my dorm and risked it. Turns out 100% of the fire alarms that I experienced were false alarms. Was in a dorm shower and had an embarrassing bathrobe. Looked at it and thought I'd rather die and finished my shower and dried and dressed and left LMAO. I finished taking my crap. The fire alarm stopped sounding by the time I washed my hands. Then I checked with the leasing office. Turns out they were running a drill or some crap. I guess this kind of fits. I was taking a shower in the dorms when the fire alarm went off. I figured it was a drill, but I didn't know what to do, so I didn't want whoever's job it was to check the rooms to have to come drag me out of the shower. So I turned the water off, put on my robe, and wrapped my hair in a towel. By the time I'd made my decision and done all that, everyone was already outside. I was shuffling down the hall in my robe and flip-flops when the RA saw me and yelled, "Fire drill, you have to evacuate." Yeah, no crap. So I went out dripping wet in my robe and flip-flops in front of everyone. It was snowing a little too. Not a fire alarm. 89 San Francisco quake. Was living in the South Bay and was only 5. I had a friend over but I had to go. So I'm just chilling in there reading Nintendo Power or something. Suddenly the door flies open and my dad grabs me and runs me out of the house. Get to the side yard and he sees the telephone pole swaying, so he runs me to the back. My pants and underwear are still down this whole time. I didn't feel the quake at all, but it certainly sucked for the next few years at school when they asked where were you during the 89 quake. I mostly just lied as I didn't want the embarrassment of saying I was pooping. Pretty freaky. I had just gotten out of the shower and was using the toilet, so I finished my business and put my shorts on and a t-shirt, so while everyone was outside warm and comfortable, I was outside freezing with no boxes and water soaking my shirt from my shower from earlier. I wasn't using the toilet. I was in the shower at a fancy coastal B&B and had just put conditioner in my hair. It was a real fire, but turned out to be just an issue with the chimney that was fairly quickly fixed. Had to make some quick decisions about how much public nudity would be acceptable in this situation. I had to wipe really freaking fast and jumped off the toilet and started gunning it down the hallway. Basically everyone was out of the school at this point. I pull my pants up as I run and then I'm fastening my belt buckle. I run outside and see the rest of the students and walk over to my principal to find out it was a drill. Wasn't on the toilet, though I wish I had been. Freshman year of college, I was taking a shower in the dorm one Friday night. I'm halfway through shampooing when the fire alarm goes off. I hadn't grabbed my bathrobe, just a towel. It was October. I didn't have time to grab my robe or clothes because an RA came through and ushered everyone out the exit. So that's the time I stood out on the front lawn, soaking wet in a bath towel, for an hour while shampoo frosted in my hair. Also I got some in my eyes so I looked like I was crying. Pretty poorly when you're a firefighter and meant to be driving the truck. You pinch that thing off as quick as you can. I just assumed it was a false alarm and turns out I was right. Backstory: I was at the same hotel in 2015 for Boa Grand Nationals and the same thing happened. Just I wasn't on the toilet at the time. On the can? That's easy mode. How long does it take y'all to wipe? It doesn't have to be perfect, but you can take 30 seconds to clean up and pull your pants up. I once had the fire alarm go off while I was in a shower, in university housing, in January. That went about as well as could be expected, and on top of it all, it turned out it was a freaking drill. It was almost 11 years ago and I'm still mad at having to freeze half to death for a goddamn fire drill. I was in the shower on the 7th floor of my dorm in the middle of the night. I went to my room with a head full of soap to where my roommate was leaving and I just camped there with the door locked until it was over. It was November. I was not going outside soaking wet for what I know was a drill. Not in the toilet, but I was in the dorm bathroom dyeing my hair when it went off. 2 girls were in the bathroom too and when we got outside they screamed, "Oh no, oh, your hair is going to be over-processed." A guy in my high school had that happen to him during an emergency drill. When a faculty member came to see if anyone was in the bathroom, he decided it would be funny to lift his feet and hide in the stall, causing a panic amongst the faculty when they couldn't account for him. He ended up getting detention for willfully causing mischief. I was visiting a long-term girlfriend years ago at her college. I was sleeping off a hangover in her dorm room. She was in class, and I hear the fire alarm go off. Didn't know they were doing safety inspections. I slept through 45 minutes of the alarm expecting it to go off any second before I got out of bed and an RA and fireman saw me wandering towards the bathroom. She freaked the frick out, and I destroyed the evacuation time. Was originally 7 minutes, then they had to amend it because of me to 48. People on the college Facebook page were livid. That was pretty funny. Hasn't happened to me, but I did sit through an earthquake once. Several floors up. Wasn't a big one, but things were rattling. In elementary school I was going for a poop, then a tornado drill start. I stayed, finished and said present when the teacher did roll call. I was in 3rd grade, and in the middle of a dump, the alarm started blaring, and all my fears were suddenly realized. I panicked, took a couple mad swipes with paper, jumped up, and shoved some more paper in my crack, then pulled my pants up. I fumbled with the lock, and in my current state was unable to get my fingers to unlock it. It was like a nightmare. I just physically couldn't make them work. So I dropped on my stomach and crawled out from under the stall, catching the tail end of the students going outside. I hadn't thought about that in a long while. I think I repressed it. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.